Hey bro, I could not understand anything in the today's friction lesson. Can you please explain me?
Of course, friction is just a contact force which opposes the motion of an object.
Can you please make it simple?
Whenever two surfaces are in contact with each other, they got interlocked with each other due to the irregularities between the surfaces. This causes the rise in the force called friction.
What affects the friction?
If the surface is rough, the friction will be greater than the friction in the smooth surface. As in rough surface, there are a lot of irregularities more than the smooth surface.
What are the types of friction? Can you explain me?
There are three types of friction: static friction, kinetic friction, and rolling friction. Static friction is the most greatest friction in terms of value. It is the friction which opposes the motion of a body which is at rest. It comes into play when someone applies a force on the body at rest. Measure of static friction, which is very important, is the force required to overcome the friction at the instant an object starts moving. Whereas the kinetic friction, which is the friction keeps the object moving at same speed. Measure of kinetic friction is the force required to keep object uniform. And the last one, rolling friction, which comes into play when a body rolls over another body. It is the smallest friction.
Friction is a friend or an enemy.
Friction acts as a friend and enemy both. Friction is necessary to move, to write, to hold a glass, to write a blackboard. It is required to stop an object. It is required to fix a nail on a wall or tie a knot. It is also required to construct buildings, whereas it wears out screws, ball bearings, or soles of shoes. It produces a large amount of heat because of machine causes wastage of energy. It makes difficult to vehicles move when tire deflates. It is because of friction machines consume more fuel and increase maintenance cost. Hence, it acts like both friend and foe.
Can't we increase or decrease friction?
Yes, there are a lot of methods to increase or decrease friction. The brake pads in a bicycle increases friction, which causes the slowdown of a bicycle. Kabaddi players and gymnasts apply some substance to increase friction, which gives better grip. Whereas substances like lubricants, which reduce the friction, examples oil, grease, or graphite, they form a thin layer between the substances, which does not allow the substances to directly rub against each other. Use of ball bearings between hubs and axles of ceiling fan reduce friction.
The friction is also exerted by fluids.
Yes, friction is also exerted by fluids. In fact, this type of friction is called drag. Drag depends on speed with respect to the fluid and the shape of fluid as well as the nature of the fluid. The shapes are given to objects moving in fluids to reduce the friction called drag. For example, the aeroplane has a specific shape of streamline which reduce the friction exerted by fluids.
Thank you very much to clear all my doubts.
Welcome.